Welcome to the Big Fat Gay Podcast, where we talk about the things that are weighing on our minds. I'm Trevor Keyson. I'm a super chub, and today I'm a tiny woodland creature. I'm a little hedgehog, and I have a sweater on and a mug of pumpkin spice coffee, and I'm walking through the forest. It's a beautiful autumnal day here in West Hollywood.
Ooh, okay. Welcome, everybody. My name is Michael. I am a chaser, and today I am that freshly raked, dry pile of crisp leaves that you just want to jump right into and splash around the entire yard again so that somebody else has to rake it up.
Hey there, everybody. My name's Don. I'm a big chubby guy living here in sunny Hollywood, and today I am the official Big Fat Gay Podcast leaf peeper.
What?
Creeping? You've not heard of leaf peeping?
No.
Never.
Oh, is it when you go through New England and you're just driving and looking at all the leaves changing?
That's all it is. It's just looking at leaves.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought it was when you were hiding inside a pile
That's
of
what I
leaves
thought.
and
Yeah,
like
it sounds sinister.
looking at hot fat guys as they walk by.
It sounds filthy.
Sounds kind of hot.
Hi, my name is Dan Oliverio, author, public speaker, and official card-carrying chubby chaser.
Oh, prove it.
Let me get my wallet. What's in your wallet, Michael? I'm feeling autumnal. It's cooler than hot. I like that. I find it amusing that you guys are like, oh, it's so autumnal here in West. We don't have seasons. Come on.
It's true.
So there are some leaves on the ground.
Yeah, all you
And
need to
it's-
do.
Oh, please. That's because the gardener came.
All you need to do to know the seasons in LA is walk by your local Starbucks.
And see what they're serving.
Exactly.
You saying there's leaves on the ground because the gardener came makes it almost sound like we hire a gardener to come scatter colored leaves imported from New England.
Honey, we do that. I don't know if you know that. We actually do that.
It's the magic that keeps everything
Yes.
going.
I was wondering where you were getting sugar maple leaves in your backyard. That was so confusing.
They are so expensive at Gelson's.
See, my mind went to actual leaves made of maple sugar, which would also be really good.
It is weird to me that like we associate maple syrup with fall and winter when it's a spring food. You make maple syrup in spring.
But then it ages like a fine wine and is most perfect in the fall.
Well, when do they serve the maple syrup lattes?
I actually have aged maple syrup. We paid a lot for.
Is it good?
It is. It's so this is
It's aged in a bourbon barrel.
no an apple brandy or apple jack barrel.
Anyways,
Oh,
so
interesting.
basically it's
Interesting.
marinated
Yeah.
maple syrup.
Yes.
That
Okay.
sounds kind of
I'm
delicious.
curious what it would do to the flavor.
Oh,
What are the tasting notes on these two?
I mean, it does taste like kind of like apple brandy.
with maple syrup. Very, very sweet.
It's
Nice.
sweet, but it's also
You can't really drink more than one cup.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Not in one sitting. Not more. Yeah.
But I guess autumnal vibes is a good time
Yeah.
to discuss. We have a little hiatus coming up.
Oh, that's true.
That's true. So November, I think we're settling on a regular hiatus every year of May and November. So coming up, we're going to be taking a month off, the full month of November, but that doesn't mean we're going away completely.
Yeah.
As usual, we'll be doing our little mini-sodes. We're going to shake it up once more and do some fun topics. I think it's going to be me and Dan.
That's right, Michael.
Trevor and Don having our...
A Thanksgiving special.
And we're going to do a little Thanksgiving special. Is this an opera singer that's been poked with a needle?
No, it's a turkey.
It's
What the fuck are we doing? What is this? What is life? So we'll be taking that little break off.
you can tell we need it.
Yes, the mind strains are being pulled way too far. Okay,
Goofiness is the mind killer.
Let's roll right into it.
right on into the whatever comes after that.
It's pop culture.
Yay.
So I saw this it was the Independent for my fat aggregator, and I thought it was a good follow up to last week's main topic. And it is there was a study that showed social media abuse of plus size models encourages women to be more abusive, and basically what they saw was if people specifically they were looking at women reacting to social media posts, and if they saw a plus size model and there was already a negative comment on the post, they found that 40% of women would also leave a negative comment.
As opposed to if there hadn't been.
Yes. And they did the same thing with positive comments. And they found that only 4% of women would leave a positive comment if they saw one before.
Yeah. And it sucks, but I think this is also a nice reminder for like mindfulness of like, you can use this as an opportunity to say, I don't, because I feel like we've all kind of done that. Like you see a post that maybe it's not judging someone's body, but it's some kind of post that gets you riled up in some way and you want to put something negative on it. And I don't know, like there's discussion on one hand, but then there's also just like putting negativity out there where it doesn't belong. And I don't know, I think it's an opportunity to say like, don't do that. Make a conscious choice not to.
Yeah. I think it's also interesting because like I was trying to think of myself, and if I see something that kind of activates me and like something that makes me angry is usually what I'm thinking about, like in terms of social media stuff. If there's nothing, I do find that I'll want to just be like, ugh, and like whatever. But if I see other people, I'm like, yes, I'm also angry. Let's be angry together.
Yes, yeah. No, I think that's a significant part of it. I also wonder, would it be different? This particular study was conducted with all the respondents were women in Australia.
Yes.
And I wonder if it would make a difference if you had it in different cultures, different age groups.
I've got to say, having talked to a couple Australians who are very famous and successful, they have experienced, like one of them, very famous movie star now, but when she was first getting started, she came to Hollywood, did a movie, and then went back to Australia and basically had just a normal job again because she hadn't quite struck it, like it wasn't quite there yet. And the people would take the piss incessantly. Like it was like you have become a target because you are looked at by a lot of people.
That is very common certainly in British culture and especially in Australian culture, to the point that they have a term for this. They call it the tall poppy syndrome. And you can see it in, like I said, in British culture, in Harry Potter, when they take, there's a whole scene. I won't go into it because it's a long scene, but yeah, the tall poppy syndrome is when one of your friends does something special or exceptional, it's your job and all the other friends' job to tear them down and get them back to size, because no poppy can be taller than any other poppy. If you look at a field of poppies, they're all the same size, and the one that sticks up gets chopped down.
We've seen Wizard of Oz. We know this. It's fact.
Yeah. Poppies.
I tend to think of it as more as the phenomenon has been sort of disproven, but there was something called the bystander effect that people point to a lot. But I do think the aspect of the bystander effect where like I have a vague opinion, right? But I'm not going to express it because why would I? It doesn't really matter that much. But as soon as someone else expresses an opinion on the thing, it just unleashes, like the ice has been broken. I may now express an opinion, even if I didn't think it was that important.
I think that could very well be what's happening in this study.
Yeah. And I think the important aspect of the study was the comparison to positive comments,
which is depressing. Which is additionally depressing because what it means is that is their actual position. They were just too polite to express it,
Or sometimes
because they're not going to express something they don't believe because of the bystander effect, right?
No, I think you're right.
I agree. Yeah, I definitely think that it's basically so much so. At least in my work as a director, so much of it is just engaging with someone to the degree that they know they have permission to do whatever it is you're asking them to do. A lot of times it's actors being given permission to take it to the nth degree, to go further, to dig deeper. And your job is to basically say, you can do this, go do it. And I think in the similar way, people aren't naturally going to just jump out into the world and do a thing until they know it's okay. And in this case, it's seeing somebody else having done it first.
Well, and social media has become so toxic that almost anything you say is ripe for criticism. So it's a lot safer to simply echo what's already been said.
True.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, speaking of plus size models.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
And it's not all sour grapes
No,
in this episode.
it's sweet grapes too.
I saw this feature in Nylon. Patrick Starrr, not of SpongeBob,
This has three R's in Star.
Yes.
debuts his first ever plus size fashion collaboration, which I absolutely adored. It is colorful.
It is
fabulous. Shiny. It is sequiny. It is just, I love everything about it. It has turbans, which I want to come back. I want to be a weird Hollywood aging starlet with a turban and costume jewelry and
Trevor Swanson.
yes,
Not
sinister
me, it's the couches that got small.
planning sinister acts in glamour.
So there is just a treasure trove of wonderful pictures of fashion and really amazing women in this fashion. But can I just say, in the background, there is this super handsome fat guy wearing, I can't even tell because everybody else is in front of him.
Damn it, people move.
But exactly. And so I'm like, how come, here's another fashion show with like no men. He's in the background. He's amazing. He looks so handsome. And he's big boy. So I'm like, where's his photo spread? Excuse me.
I have a feeling they probably curated whatever number of photos, but it would be nice to, but there's some good representation there too. I mean, obviously I think it would be great to see more men, but
I don't really remember ever seeing any male plus models in like haute couture. And I don't remember seeing male plus size models in a lot of formal wear. It always seems to be sort of casual streetwear.
Well, I think the exception would be like Dexter Mayfield in his Fendi stuff.
Well, I think, here's a better picture. So I think he's actually wearing something from the collection. It's called the Life's a Party collection. I love it. I want everything.
It's the word fabulous embodied visually.
The other thing I notice is, so often high fashion, like that looks amazing, but I can't imagine wearing it, or God help you sitting down in it.
Oh no, that's not meant to be sat in.
Exactly. And so many of these, like, this is really just like a belted, I don't want to make it sound ugly, but it's a belted coat. You could sit in that. And it's belted above, under the chest.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff there that's actually really, it looks comfortable for a fat person.
Yeah. Imagine that. Designed by a fat person. Who would have thought?
But yeah, it goes to 4X, which I think it actually might be a slightly varied 4X just because
who knows
sizing varies. As we found from a couple of weeks ago, Saucy West doing the fight for inclusivity, 4X is good.
But we can do better.
It's something we can do better. But I still think it's just the fact that we have stuff this amazing and this fabulous, and also like a reasonable price range given the kind of couture glamour
High
vibe.
fashion.
It's the collection. The prices range from $100 to $300.
Which I thought was amazing.
Yeah, and just given it, like I would pay that.
That feels accessible for what you're getting. Especially given that there's usually a fat tax for regular clothing.
Yeah.
Like you might be paying $50, $70
Well,
for
and
a shirt.
that's exactly what a thin person would be paying for that kind of outfit.
But yeah, check it out.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
But yes, so Dan gave a little tease. We're launching into it. It's Fat Watch
I just feel like I'm soaring through the sky.
2021.
Feel the wind in your hair.
We're nearing the end of Fat Watch 2021. What's the vibe going to be for 2022?
Who the fuck knows?
But no, it's we're going around it's appropriate that we feel like we're flying around the world because this week's Fat Watch takes us to
South Korea.
South Korea. Seoul, South Korea.
Yes. And there was an article about basically in Korea they are making new mannequins.
Well, this one company.
This one company, SPAO.
Is that an initialism or is it actually?
It's
like
all caps.
Okay.
SPAO.
Who knows?
Which is a brand run by Eland World.
Okay.
Is introducing new mannequins with realistic measurements. And so Dan was kind of doing
I was doing the math because they're all in metric, and I'm like, so what are these realistic measurements?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Okay, so for the men, the height of the male mannequin is 5'9", because apparently that's the average height of a Korean man.
Okay.
Do you know what they were using in their mannequins? 6'2".
What?
Oh.
That'll stretch you out.
No wonder. I mean, it's just, talk about overachieving.
Yeah.
And they also increased the waist size of the male. I could give them one for female. I didn't do the math for the women, but for the men, I think they increased the waist size 2 inches. I think that's
what.
Yeah,
they don't, because I've bought
2 inches.
in Asian sizes by accident.
Oh, probably from 30 to 32.
Yeah.
I was told by my doctor when I was young that I was supposed to be 6'2". He lied. All my life, I had this expectation of greatness. I'm just average.
So I'm 6'3", right?
Mm-hmm.
Which means when you're my height, everybody's either shorter than you or taller than you. There's no, I mean, or the same size.
Isn't that always true?
No,
Well, as
but you
opposed to saying somebody
misunderstand.
who's the same.
Someone
height.
who's 5'10" looks the same to me as someone who's 5'6".
I see. Okay.
Right? Like I'm looking at the same top of the head. So what does it matter? You know?
What's interesting about this is with the new mannequins comes a change to the pants length.
Okay.
This is
'cause
hysterical.
previously they had sold basically pants that are long enough for the mannequins. But so basically anyone who bought them
What?
would have to have their pants end.
Oh.
What it's doing is it's highlighting what is going on in all of fashion, which is we make clothes that are pretty, and it's your job to have the body that fits it.
Yeah.
Like your body is wrong. Our clothes are perfect because they look nice. And if you can't wear them, isn't that really your body's fault?
But so they're changing that now?
And they're changing that. They're actually making clothes that fit the people who buy them.
Nice. Imagine.
Which
a
again, it's
concept.
like the 6'2" mannequin for a nation of 5'9" men. It's
Well, cool. I mean, that's good, right? It's something.
yeah. I suppose what it is the knock on the head is you didn't always do this, and of course they didn't, and we know that. But to have it spelled out in measurements is sort of galling.
Yeah.
What I find interesting is like, so in America, so much what you'll see is like companies and brands making stuff shorter because they can, if they make it 2 centimeters shorter, like a shirt or something, they can save so much money. And that they've been having stuff like pants that are 10 centimeters longer than they need to be, basically for aesthetic purposes.
Is pretty ridiculous.
So it looks good on the mannequin.
It's expensive and useless. Yeah.
Saw it on the mannequin.
So it's
leg.
almost like, I mean, you guys just realized you could save yourselves the money by doing this normally instead of having
Well,
so
But they
much
thought
extra
no one would
material.
buy it. I think that was
Yeah.
Right,
the
because most people will buy it from the picture what it looks like on the mannequin.
I suppose.
But the other thing to realize is this isn't costing them money. Like that extra fabric is maybe 10 cents, 6 cents, but they're charging in the store $50 more because that's the market they're in.
That sounds about right. That's an appropriate markup. All right. Well, cool. Good.
Yeah.
Good things.
It's something. I feel like this is like, it's something, exclamation mark, not like it's something.
It's something. I know it's not the more you know, but damn it, I don't have a sound effect for it yet.
Maybe I feel like we know some composers that compose a little ditty.
That's true. I should get Alex on the
something.
Oh, I don't think it's musical. I think it's some sort of speech gesture like, what?
phone. I mean, we can do that. We can do it all in harmony. 3, 2, 1. I'll just sample that one thing and
Okay.
copy it over.
But if we're going to talk about making things that actually fit customers,
Good.
Shut your heart.
I'm going to judge to our main topic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's a power
Oh, yeah.
segue. I want Dan to set this up. This was his idea.
Okay, so where to begin? Once upon a time,
Oh,
there were Chub Chaser live events. I mean, like,
no,
I know,
no,
I'm picturing
hold
it's
on
like
a second.
the flames and like the dawn of man. And it's like paved drawings of like,
and so typically, and there are a few of these in very select parts of the country. For the straight people, these are like all the time. And of course, I'm speaking before COVID. But there would be like a Chub Chaser get together, let's say once a month at a particular bar. And it was usually organized by a club that went by the name of Girth and Mirth. So there'd be Girth and Mirth Long Beach, Girth and Mirth San Francisco, Girth and Mirth Denver, whatever. And there's a lot of history and lore that we could unearth about that. But what I wanted to talk about in this segment was that kind of nightlife for us went away. I won't say it died, but it went away. And I think San Jose's got something going on now. I think they've got Club Chub. But it's sort of a rarity, whereas it used to be far more common. And most people blame the internet because, why should I go to a bar night if I can just get exactly what I want sent to my house on the internet?
Custom ordered.
Custom ordered with a hookup. So, and you know, we have the proliferation of apps and they're standing 7
That's
feet from
interesting.
me.
So does that make like the Chub and Chaser bar was the first gay bar to go down to the internet?
I
Because
don't know.
a lot of the other gay bars and lesbian bars are kind of going that way too.
Well, that's the question. You certainly don't need to go to a bar to get laid. Whereas you know, before it was either that or what, the park, the library,
Yeah.
the bookstore.
Outback.
Yeah. So
Outback
Not-
Steakhouse?
yeah.
on the other hand, everybody at one point or another in their lives has thrown up their hands and decried how horrible online dating is and wishing that we could just go back to meeting each other in person. And so my question is, do we want that? Do we prefer the internet? Do we want a chub chaser night at a bar? Would we like, for example, there's such a thing as a bear bar where it's a bear bar every night, or a leather Levi bar used to be a characterization. I don't know if that's still current, but there used to be leather Levi bars and you could go there 7 nights a week and it would always be a leather Levi bar. Do we want a chub chaser bar? Do we want a chub chaser night once a month? Do we want no such thing because it promotes drinking and bad behavior and we just want to stick to our internet hookups? What do we want?
So I feel like right off the bat, I just want to address this. I feel like people are going to be like, well, like there's the bear nights and stuff, and that's like the same thing. And it's like,
No, it's not.
It's
Well, and let's just be clear. Bear does not mean fat. A lot of fat men have gotten into the bear scene, but originally bear had nothing to do with fat.
yeah.
Whereas today it's almost synonymous with it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of people have a very, it's almost become more of a preference thing at this point of like, where do you choose to identify? But yeah, if you are a chaser looking for a chub, a bear event is not necessarily going to do it for you. I think there are plenty of chasers that will do well.
Oh yeah,
there.
for a lot of chasers, it's the same thing. It's their preference.
Yeah.
I think you and I have similar tastes, Michael. And like for us, a bear event would
it's
be
not
like
going to
no.
do anything for me. Yeah.
Yeah, unless there's that one.
Unless there's that one guy.
And there's
Yeah.
that one guy, and then we're fighting over him.
Exactly.
I will say I don't like bars in general.
I'm in
I
the
don't
same
like,
boat.
I don't like stools. Bars, I think of a stool. I think of it's going to be loud.
To me, a bar is synonymous with visual pickup and not being able to hear the person.
Yes.
So not knowing anything
Well,
about them.
Yes, but that really depends on the bar you're talking about. For example, Girth and Mirth Long Beach was, and I don't know why this is, but almost all chub nights ended up at like biker bars or leather Levi bars. Like,
Other kind of fringe. niche
not
bars.
a gay bars. Like there was,
Yeah.
I think there were, for like 10 seconds, there might've been a chub night in West Hollywood, but then it promptly moved to Silver Lake.
Yeah. It had to get out of there. We couldn't have that.
You know,
have that.
that's a leg up on what I experienced in New York. In New York, the Girth and Mirth meetup was at the community center.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was like,
well, to be fair, it later moved to the Eagle.
okay.
But anyway, my point was that often these chub events would end up in either S&M bars, leather Levi bars, at least a leather Levi bar. And what you got at a leather Levi bar was not the oots, 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 oots glam of West Hollywood. What you got was beer and pool tables and smell of beer on the floor and
You hope it's beer on
and
the
a
floor.
urinal that was actually just a trough. And
And
And when you say trough, you don't mean for feeding.
well,
You
and
mean
so-
just long.
So like,
I mean,
Don't you judge. Don't you judge.
I'm not judging. I'm just
anyway,
moving on.
Yes. No kink shaming. So, but for example, all right. So here's an example. So the reason I'm saying this is because I think you would have liked Girth and Mirth Long Beach, Don, because although it was a, not in a great neighborhood and it was not a great bar and it was, filthy and everything was painted black 10 years ago, but somebody decided that it's a chub event, so we should serve food. So there'd be like a little buffet.
I was going to say,
And there's a pool table and there's a,
there was one of these, like when I don't know if I was visiting or like when I first moved to LA, there was one, I think it was like the last Girth and Mirth, whatever night they called it. It was very weird. And I'm like,
because it was on his last
and
legs.
I like that there's like a buffet of wings, but I don't want to be like eating chicken wings while I'm like trying to mingle and pick up like.
Do I have something between my teeth and do you find that hot?
Well, it was actually really controversial because there was a crowd of people who were like, oh, well, It's a fat men's event. Of course there should be food. And then there was another crowd of people who were like, it's a fat men's event. Of course we can't have food. That's a stereotype. And these two groups would, I mean, it wasn't an argument, but it was this sort of, people would either make a beeline to the buffet or look at the buffet and roll their eyes.
Right. I don't know. I think it would have to, as opposed to a night in an existing bar, I think it would have to be a space customized for that audience and that customer. Like Trevor was saying, like, you don't want to have to sit on tall stools or stand the whole time. And like, sure, there can be a dance floor and some people can go enjoy that, but maybe there's plenty of space to have comfortable seating. Like Don, I would much more enjoy it if I could have the option of sitting down and actually talking to somebody. Yeah. You know, like obviously it's going to be loud in a bar, but there's loud and then there's like, I can't hear you.
Yeah. And a lot of bars are really good about having an indoor space for dancing where it's loud and an outdoor space where you can kind of, be more social.
Yeah. We used to have a bar in Silver Lake called MJ's.
Oh yeah. I remember MJ's.
I liked MJ's. You'd walk in and the front area was always, it was wide open. But it was still a bar. There were bar stools and all that kind of stuff. But then, it was loud. There was dancing. There were go-go bears. And then if you walked to the back, there was a sort of an open patio where it was quieter and you could actually talk to the person that you'd ogled inside, But
MJ's is a really good example because it was a bear bar because it was in a bearish neighborhood.
Yeah.
It was in Silver Lake. And so it had a bear clientele, but I don't know. I wouldn't go there to pick up a fat guy.
I just went there for events every once in a while.
Right. But like as a chaser, I would go, well, my chances are better there than if I went to the Abbey.
A lot of people, when I first moved to LA and I was spending time in West Hollywood around all of the A-gay guys, and I was having a pretty good time, but I would, when they knew what I was into, they'd always say, oh, you should go to Silver Lake.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I would go, oh, what's in Silver Lake? And they're like, well, it's all like bear kind of stuff, like your kind of stuff. And I never once went because that didn't appeal to me. That was like, okay, but that's not really
what I'm looking
for. Right.
And it should be said that, there's probably a lot of chasers out there scratching their heads right now because they're like, well, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't speak for all chasers by any means.
Well, because in the United States, bear culture and chub culture are pretty different. In Europe and other parts of the world, they've kind of become meshed together.
Well, even in the US, like bear culture is supposed to be about openness and inclusivity. Which means it's supposed
that's a nice
to be.
wish, but
it's supposed to be.
Is never what that is never what it started as, and not what it's famous for.
Well, it's what it's supposed to be. That's sort of the calling card of it in mainstream culture.
I feel like
the way it's presented.
I feel like they do try and sell that.
Yeah,
I don't know that it's actually
so does
true,
everybody.
Though.
Whether or not it's true or not is it's inconsequential.
The listeners who contributed to our racism episode
are probably
know what Don's talking about. It's supposed to be,
I would certainly never define bear culture as that.
But the point is, having no other venues that I felt like the door was open for, bear bars were my choice because I thought I could find a place there.
And I think it is. I don't want to disparage beer bars and like the bear nights because, Dan and I have gone to them in New York. We have friends that regularly attend them. It's, as we said before, it's something.
Yeah, sure. That's totally how I feel. It's something. It's not what I'm looking for, but it's something.
Yeah, there's an audience that will cater to perfectly.
Absolutely,
and that's sort of not what we're address. Like it's like, what would a chub chaser bar look like? And I think the other interesting point of Dan's discussion is, do we even want that? Do we even need that right now?
Yeah, because again, if you're a chaser or if you're chub, do you want to wade into a bar scene? Do you want to get to a bar? Do you want to park at a bar? Do you want to, bars almost always involve alcohol, or at least you feel maybe outside off.
Yeah.
You feel like you're not in the pool if you're not drinking. That was, when I was your age, Michael, I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, and I didn't dance. So what the fuck was I doing in a bar?
I will say, that was coming into, I guess, the bar culture in LA. It was enjoyable for a short while because I was basically just sort of throwing off all of my inhibitions. And then after a second, I was like, I don't really feel like I need to spend any more time here because there was nothing pulling me back.
Right.
It was like, I kind of got that out of my system. I think if I had known that there was a specifically chub chaser bar, I think I absolutely would have. If I could have started there, I probably would have kept going back. And this is from right now in this moment. I am not like Don and Trevor. I'm not a bar person. I do drink, but it's just sort of socially, casually. And I don't get I have not historically gotten the kind of interactions with people in a bar that I prefer to have, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think also I've changed a pretty substantial amount, and I'm kind of ready to feel that again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why I've been interested in going to events like Big Bayou, rest in peace. And coming up Bigger Vegas, and hopefully Big Bayou at some point in the future. And I think that's why it's more interesting to me than it ever used to be. And I could see a chub chaser, an actual chub chaser bar, being a really interesting place to go.
Mm-hmm.
I
Now,
could see that being appealing.
I can say for me, I miss it.
Mm-hmm.
the thing I miss was the event, right? And when I say by the event, it's like looking forward to it, getting dressed for it and thinking like, what's going to happen
Oh,
tonight?
the event of going out to a bar.
Yeah, the event. Well, it wasn't the fact that it was the bar. It was like, tonight is the night that this one thing happens, right? The one event where there's a chub chaser event.
Oh, because you did go to these. Oh, because
Yeah,
in New York, in the
New
community
York.
center.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because there were no
gosh,
other
yeah.
bars, right?
Yeah,
There wasn't a normal place to go. And honestly, I'm not sure if there was a chub chaser bar regularly all the time. I'm not sure if I would have gone that often. So having that sort of night where it's like everybody who was either big or liked big guys was going to go to that one night. They were all going to be there, right? As opposed to a bar where I might be the only big guy there tonight, or
Yeah.
there may be no chasers there tonight. Where because we're so spread out in the gay community, it seems like having a focused, singular point in time where you can all come together makes it more. There's more pageantry to it that I like.
I get that, but I'm also wondering, I guess it comes down to, what do you want out of the experience? Like, are you looking to find a connection with a chaser to either hook up or date? If so, then that makes total sense. But if we're sort of zooming out from that very specific thing that you can do at a bar to just community and like meeting people in your world, I don't know. I feel like that could be a really good way to do that, where if you showed up and there were only chubs there, well, maybe you strike up a conversation with a guy who turns out to be a good friend later. And now it's somebody in your community, which we've talked about, you got to find your people, right?
Mm-hmm.
This feels like a way that you could achieve that. And then maybe there's also a hot chaser there that you have a great connection with, or you hook up with, or whatever, but maybe it doesn't have to be about that.
I wonder how the chasers feel about this. I mean, I know how I feel about it. I think I know how you feel about it, Michael. I remember hearing so many times, especially from young chasers who were like, how come there are no chubs at the bars when I go out? I'm like, well, let's think that through.
I can answer that. I mean, it just, bars aren't really designed for fat people. Like
exactly.
most of the world.
Yeah.
Well,
Bars aren't designed for fat people.
Well, and in a world where fat is the opposite of sex and gay bars are for sex, yeah, that's why fat guys aren't going to show up there a lot. Or if they do show up, they show up as the wingman, the best friend, the
I
slumming
got
it with
tired of going home alone.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
I absolutely got tired of it.
Absolutely.
In my mind, a chub chaser bar, so I'm imagining this, and I'm picturing it's more like loungy,
Yeah.
and there's no buffet, like there's no hot wing buffet, because that's just
Trust me.
there's hors d'oeuvres.
The buffets were so pathetic. They were.
Yeah, that's
Let me
tough.
guess, they had like steamed buns and hot dogs or something.
Yep. No. If you
imagining
were lucky, they were like,
a bucket of boiled hot dogs.
it was a bucket of boiled dogs. Basically,
Yeah.
what you'd find at the 99-cent store.
I mean, that's the kind of thing where
no.
like you have to make it your bar's thing to have great food to do that, to pull that off.
Well, and
I could go on.
a chub chaser bar could, I think it almost would have to, because, like, once again, hors d'oeuvres, little
Easy
little,
to eat finger foods.
Yes.
Well, but see, what you're doing there is you're kind of making it about a different kind of event. You're making it like a cocktail party.
Oh, I'm
as
thinking
opposed to it's a bar and they got wieners.
I'm thinking it's like I would model it after the Abbey.
okay.
Yeah.
Because where people can it is designed for socialization, but there's also dancing and there's events, but it is a space to gather and to be.
Well, what's
Yeah.
interesting about the Abbey, and of course, people may or may not know the Abbey. They probably don't unless they live in
probably
LA.
don't.
But what's interesting about the Abbey is it has so many different environments
Yeah.
within its footprint. So there is a raging hot dance floor. There is a huge outdoor space. There are little sequestered
They have tables. I mean, they have tables and
bar,
chairs.
yeah, and I guess it's the only it's the only bar I know that's open like 20 hours a day.
Well, and
because
it's one of the most popular places to go, not just for gay people anymore. It's
Right.
just a popular bar.
Yeah, it's not really a gay bar anymore.
well, no, it really is. You
no,
just
it's a
haven't been
bar
there
in
enough.
West Hollywood that like
Oh, I see what you mean.
it's
Yeah.
a bar in West Hollywood.
Well, that's another
all.
conversation. That's another conversation about gay bars. But
They also were doing vaccines there at some point.
yeah,
Were they really?
yeah. And I will say that the Abbey put a moratorium on bachelorette parties there because they're like,
Okay.
hey, if we can't get married, you can't get married
Yeah,
here.
that's good.
That was good.
I appreciate that.
But what I was going to make an analogy to is, the Abbey is a really expensive piece of real estate. It started as a coffee bar, and now it's probably one of the most successful gay bars in the world in terms of money and the clientele.
And they've grown.
They've
I mean,
grown
really
literally like they've taken over 6 blocks.
Yeah.
They took over a street at one point.
Yeah.
But what I was going to make an analogy to is the community center. And I went to the community center. We didn't go there quite at the same time, but it was really sad
Oh yeah.
because it's fluorescent lighting
It was like a public school.
Oh, it's awful. It was awful. But the advantage was you could set up different spaces for different activities. So there was some sort of imitation of a dance floor. I think there was food the night I went there. There was some outdoor space. And that sort of variety of venues within the same event really works well. It's what works at a weekend event. You'll find the same thing happening at Bigger Vegas or Big Bayou or any other event.
It's funny you said fluorescent lighting. There, like so many of the kind of the bars where there are kind of like chub-ish events now, the beer events that the chubs go to at bars.
Yeah.
I would describe the lighting there as like horror movie lighting.
Yeah. Someone's dead before that hookup's complete.
Like everything's red and blue and just like something bad's someone's about to get stabbed
And like,
or penetrated.
if some, or both.
Yeah.
Well, it's usually because, again, look at the comparison. Someplace like the Abbey, they pay thousands of dollars for professional lighting designers to come in and do that. They have a $10,000 chandelier over their bar. That is not happening at the community center in New York.
So let's take, I'm going to poll the room. Where do we stand with this? Because we haven't really talked about the internet side of things. So just, flash quiz, like, Don, what would you prefer? Would you prefer the bar experience to get to know somebody, or have you settled into the online experience?
I would very much like a real world meeting place again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for just about every reason you could imagine.
Okay.
Yeah.
But as an event at an existing bar, or as an actual bar that somebody would open and run?
If there was an actual bar, I would go to it. I just think if there was a commercially viable strategy to keep one open, we would have it already. So I think for me, the event that can survive, keep going, and maybe move around to different venues if multiple venues that were good were available to give me a tour of the city at the same time, that would be fun.
We actually used to have that. That's another discussion. I love the idea of a monthly event. I mean, ideally the same place just so people can find it. So you don't have to find it like a food truck.
Traveling around. You can't catch us.
It's just, please.
Hey boys, chase us.
Chase me. Are you kidding? Find me. So yeah, I would love the idea of a bar that, and what's key to me in the bars is that it have at least 2 spaces. It has some sort of dance space, because so many chubs are like, I have nowhere to go dance. Or, they do have a place to go dance, but they feel like they're going with their straight friends or they're going with their gay friends.
And a soft dance floor.
And then some other place, well, that maybe can be handled by the DJ, but then some sort of outdoors, we can talk to each other space.
Yeah, totally.
I would love a place in reality, especially now more than ever.
I've never been there.
What is reality? Tell me about it.
I think, in a perfect world, if I can manifest this, I would want it to be a physical location that is always there. I mean, like the Fat Abbey. fat Abbeys. And
Fabbies?
Abby's always, it's, got vibes of the Abbey, and why not the Hamburger Mary's a little. She's a big gal. Yeah, that's what I want. I want a real place.
I think I fall in line with that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I see the value in online dating, especially because you can really get to the point with a lot of that stuff and what feels like a safe environment. Like I feel like a lot of people appreciate that kind of the ability to keep some separation when you're interacting with so many people, and you want to be able to kind of pick and choose how you interact. And maybe there's something scary about trying to do that in person. But I think there's a lot of really sort of magical things that can happen with an in-person encounter that you would never be able to reproduce online.
And not only that, but like, let's be honest, when you meet someone in person, you can tell if there's an attraction almost right away. And I can't tell you how many times I've gone to some sort of event and been hit on by guys who had no interest in me online. It's like,
That's interesting.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because they're right there. It's the opportunity. No, there's a ton of stuff to say about that too.
So we have our marching orders. We're opening a bar.
But here's the thing. I actually would advocate for a monthly event over a continuously operating venue.
Okay.
Because I think kind of what Don was saying, it makes it a little special. I think, if you go to small towns where there's only one gay bar and it's always open because it's always the gay bar, like people it gets really incestuous and boring really fast.
Okay.
Where it's like there's one place to go and you're always there and you're never not there and everybody you know is always there. Whereas if it's a once a month kind of thing, it's like, ooh, who's going to be there tonight? Yep. Oh, you weren't here last month. Oh, I haven't seen you in 2 months.
I wonder if the once a month things are a little less successful, only because if you're aware that space is normally an unsafe space for you, if you're a chubby guy and you would never normally go there, showing up to that place when they say, "Hey, you're welcome right now," but never any other time.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if there's a different, I don't think I would go to a once a month thing as readily as I would go to a dedicated safe space.
Well, I would just point out that every bar night, it's blah blah night, it's always for some sort of taste or marginalized community, and it works. Whether we're talking about Asian night or leather night or whatever.
Well, and very often it's a group that just, there aren't enough of them to keep a bar going in profit.
And I think it wouldn't be as special if it were every single night, all the time, fully riding.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
That's what they say about the McRib and the pumpkin spice latte. It's to get you all hyped up for it.
Yeah.
Now you have me thinking about a pumpkin spice McRib.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it practically is. It's so damn sweet.
So, Trevor, do we have a tip?
We certainly do, Michael.
Yay.
So this is from Kat Pause, who I think we've mentioned on the podcast before. Kat Pause of New Zealand. So there is a COVID fat vaccine research survey that she shared, and it's she's based out of New Zealand, but it's worldwide. And it's basically asking questions about your, are you a fat person? Did you get vaccinated? The main question is...
but the question is, what's your experience of it, right?
Yes. But also the main thing is they're researching there's a thing about the length of the needle that it's... Oh. They were saying that fat people should be getting vaccinated with a 38 millimeter or micro, whatever, mm.
A deeper one?
A slightly longer needle. And some places have been doing it on their own. Other places don't know that they're supposed to be doing it. So it's basically researching that, but also seating at vaccine centers. If it was somewhere where you walked up and you waited, did they have seating? Was the seating adequate?
Right.
It's an interesting survey. Check it out. Contribute.
Yeah. That makes total sense.
But they're only looking for fat respondents though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have a bit today.
Yes, I'm ready. I'm excited.
We're trying something new today. We're going to have a little bit of a lead discussion.
Okay.
About our favorite part of every bar that Trevor has brought up several times already. I'm going to discuss the history of the bar stool.
All right.
So if you think about it, the bar stool is a pretty unique device, right? It's extra tall. It's very narrow. It has these slats in it that force you to put your legs at one of two different heights.
Both of which are wrong.
Both of which are wrong and uncomfortable, right? So like often if I'm sitting on a bar stool, my foot's going on the bar stool rung next to me
Yep.
because that's all that,
I
that'll
do
work.
that all the time.
So I will start it off with, when do you think we got the bar stool in the United States? When do you think it showed up here?
I mean, I imagine the bar stools came over on the Mayflower.
And you would be incorrect. They just had normal old chairs next to bars, and it didn't work because they were so low.
Were people just like
Oh, and you stood at the
raising
bar.
their arms
You
up?
stood at the bar,
Yes.
and then you sat at tables.
That makes so much
right?
sense. Yeah.
So I can tell you, we started getting bar stools in Europe in the 1920s.
Really?
Why didn't we get them here?
Prohibition?
That's correct. Prohibition blocked bar stools from kind of becoming a thing in the U.S. And then as soon as
Well, that's one good thing about prohibition.
as soon as Prohibition ended, they started finding their way into more high-end bars.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
And specifically, they were made for a specific new type of customer they were getting after Prohibition. Can you think of what new customers they started getting in bars?
Women?
Women.
Yeah.
That is
Interesting.
correct.
Women. Yeah.
It's the point where women started getting introduced to bars. They didn't necessarily want to be sitting at tables because, and having them sit at stools did two different things. They had sort of individual women that you could individually approach easily, because you're going up to the bar to get a drink. You start up a conversation with the woman on the stool.
Yep.
Okay.
And two, that the hemlines were rising at that point.
So there's more leg.
That's why we have those weird slats, so that as women would sit on the stools, it would force them to sort of present their legs in various ways.
Jesus
Oh my
Christ.
God.
And it's still a thing today, even though that's
Oy.
not a thing today.
That's been our momentum. And so there's one other thing. So bar stools are actually and to a certain degree today, are considered classy, right? They bring up the
Unfortunately,
level
so.
of the bar a little
Yeah,
bit,
yeah.
right?
And it's even invaded the restaurant space with.
Yeah, very
Oh, I
true.
hate those.
Oh, yeah. When they make you sit on a perch to eat your meal.
There's a specific reason for this, though. Why we still see it as being a classy upscale thing. When it came into bars in the 1930s, originally it was only the most upscale of bars that had bar stools, because they were introduced at the same time as another new invention to the American bar scene.
TGI Fridays.
Can any of you guess what the other invention that was introduced at the same time as bar stools?
Is it still around now?
It is.
I have a guess.
It is essential for bars today
Oh.
to work.
Oh, then that's my guess was going to be the jukebox, but no.
Nope.
It's like the guns, the soda guns.
Nope, not soda guns. It provides a great deal of comfort to everyone in the bar.
Air conditioning.
That is correct. After Prohibition,
because they're closer to the vents.
well, no, just air conditioning didn't exist on a mass scale
Right.
until that
no,
time
but-
period.
So the bars that had stools
The bars
also
that had
air
stools
conditioning.
introduced air conditioning at the same time.
Which is why we perceive it as classy, is what you're saying.
Exactly. It was those upscale bars that could afford the air conditioning and the bar stools.
That
They
would
were
get me in a bar.
synonymous.
If that was the only place I knew that had air conditioning, I would be there 24/7.
Yeah, movie theaters too. Yeah.
So, so that is the history of the bar stool.
We need a bar stool redesign.
Yeah.
Or just get rid of them.
I say slings.
One.
Well, what's weird is, like, if you think about it, there are other stools out there that are way more comfortable, like soda fountain stools or diner stools.
I don't think any stool is really comfortable.
Well, they're padded and they're rounder and larger. And
yeah,
they
but I got
spin.
I'm got a big butt and little legs.
For my money, any seat that doesn't have back support is not worth
I
sitting.
have to say the same thing.
I'm a strong believer in back support.
Even as a muscular guy, if there's no back support, how long am I going to stay there?
Well,
same.
I'm gonna be slouching. Like, it's not good for me.
And it doesn't feel like, I don't know. I mean, I get the bar stools probably save a little bit of space. Like you can cram more people in if you have this tall, narrow thing for people to plant themselves on. But I don't know. I don't find them comfortable. I don't know anyone. The only thing that saves a bar stool for me is when they have the actual foot bar attached to the bar that is the actual good height.
I can manage it then.
Yeah, but then you must face the bar.
You have to face the bar, right? And then if you turn, you're
out of luck.
immediately out of luck.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Also, can we bar stools? I'm curious what the fat boys in the room have to say about this. Bar stools that swivel.
Oh yeah, plus
Good
or
or bad?
minus. Yeah.
Better.
Okay.
Better.
Oh, because you can sit on it and then swivel into place.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like this.
Yeah, because I prefer those also, but I feel like they're less common. Like you don't tend to see, like they are out there, but you tend to see just a static bar stool.
What about the worst of both worlds, which is it's a swiveling bar stool that has this back with arms.
The tiny little
like
back,
it has
yeah.
this like cove.
Yeah.
Where
I hate that with a
dig
passion.
into your back.
It suits no one.
What are your feelings on bar stools? Let us know. We're on Twitter and Instagram as @BigFatGayPod. We're on Facebook as the Big Fat Gay Podcast. Leave us 5 stars there. Leave us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, all of the podcast venues.
Yeah.
See what the articles we talked about at www.bigfatgaypod.com.
Yay.
Maybe you're also a tiny woodland creature in your autumnal year, heading to the little woodland creature Chub Chaser bar.
That sounds.
And it's hedgehogs and little porcupines and little squirrels and badgers and maybe a tiny little pig.
Too much Snow White and Cinderella.
But it's not all right because there's someone in the leaves peeping. And it's Michael.
Watch out.